Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Molnar here. How is everybody doing? Well, we have Tropical Storm Nicole. It is going to become a hurricane pretty shortly here. You can see it has its eyes on the Northern Bahamas as well as Florida here. Take a look at this. So this is what we're going to be looking at, the storm track, and there has been some changes. This storm track has shifted a bit further westward as we go in time. So a little bit further north in Florida here. So it takes it away from the areas that were affected most by Hurricane Ian, which is good news. You can see how this plows towards the coastline later Wednesday into Thursday morning, and then moves. Instead of up the coast, it combines with a cold front and moves some very heavy rain into inland mid-Atlantic, up the Appalachians, and into New England. Let's get into all the details. And before we get started on the models, I just wanted to show you how expansive this wind field is of Nicole. This is the tropical storm force winds of 39 to 56 miles an hour. And look at this. The inner core is 56 to 73 in here. This is going to expand. Look at how large this area is compared to the southeast coast. All right, so here we go. The GFS, let's just back this up a few frames. So here we go. We're going into the day on Wednesday. This is going to be moving through parts of the northern part of the Bahamas here, Freeport, Freetown, Marsh Harbor. So yeah, I'll show you on the mesoscales. It really gets pretty detailed as to, the actual landfall. But we'll take a look here on the GFS first, and then I'll get to the Euro and the mesoscales. Take a look at this. Coming on shore near Port St. Lucie, West Palm Beach, this is 4 p.m. We start to get some of the heavier feeder bands moving in, the initial one. Take a look at this. So, yeah, lining up, and it moves inland pretty quick here. Look at Orlando. This is 10 p.m. all the way down to Lake Okeechobee here, and watch this. So, yeah, this should keep, the initial band of heaviest precipitation here moving pretty fast towards Tampa. So you'll start to get wind gusts 40, 60, 80 miles per hour at times. But look at the center of circulation is still back here. It's still yet to make, starting to make landfall near Port St. Lucie. And as we continue in time here, let's take a look at this. This really, really starts to become a rather large storm. So look at this. Circulation heading inland still looks a bit like a hurricane, but the good news is areas that were devastated by Hurricane Ian down here in Northport and Fort Myers, the heaviest wind and rain is going to stay north of you towards Acadia, Lakeland, Orlando here, and then eventually towards Tampa here. Take a look at this. So yeah, as we head in time, still looking like a pretty donut here. Lakeland getting into the eye of what's left of this hurricane, most likely a strong tropical storm by this point. And it's hinting that it's going to try to re-enter enter the Gulf over here. And we could be looking at maybe another landfall up here just south of Tallahassee. So this is something we got to look forward to. As you can see, the heaviest wind and rain is going to continue from Orlando up to Cedar Key, just north of Tampa here. Wind gusts over 70, 80 miles per hour continuing. I think as we go in time, this envelope of the track here is shifting further west. You can see another landfall here, even on the latest GFS towards Tallahassee. So here is the center of circulation coming on shore again in this region in the Panhandle of Florida. And look at this. The trajectory takes this. It's looking like the track may have to shift a little bit to the west here as we go in time up the Appalachians. You can see how this really starts to interact and become extratropical as we see this heaviest band of precipitation forming from the Ohio Valley in the western part of the Appalachians. The system's going to head right up the Appalachians and Thursday into Friday here. This is Friday at 10 a.m. Look at this heavy rain breaking out all the way up into parts of the Ohio Valley and into the Northeast. And we're really going to get into some heavy rainfall totals here. The saving grace is it's going to be a fast-moving storm, but I'm going to have those rainfall totals and which areas could see the greatest risk of potential flooding and severe weather as we continue along through the update here. But look at this. Yeah, this is Saturday morning at 4 a.m. The Susquehanna River Valley, I-81 corridor, parts of the Northeast. Yeah, we could be socked in with some heavy rain here moving up into parts of the Northeast. But I just want to show you how quick it moves. Look at that, 7 a.m. We're east of the I-81 corridor already, getting up into parts of the Hudson River Valley and into New England. And watch how this thing races off to the Northeast. Look at that. By 7 p.m., it's a fading memory, and the winds will be dying down. All right, so taking a look at the Euro here. Here we go. This is going to give us an idea. I like to bring this up because here's the dry air feeding into the extreme eastern and southeastern part of this system. So, yeah, the moist side is on the northwest and extreme northeast side here. So it is a lopsided system. That's what you get this time of year. You're not going to have a perfect donut. But here it is. Yeah, 989, 986, 988. Here we go. Bringing landfall in real early Thursday morning. Pretty much agreeing with the other models as well. You can see plenty of moisture. The dry air seems to have less of an impact as it moves into Florida here. So as we go in time here, what's going to happen with this system? Well, obviously it weakens as it heads inland, and you can see the Euro hints that this system could get into the northeastern Gulf as well, making a second landfall in the Panhandle. So that was kind of slightly hinted on the GFS, and I'll show you momentarily in the mesoscale models. They are hinting a little bit of a more westward jaunt here, which is very interesting. You can see here, there's that area of high pressure retreating to the east, allowing this storm to come up along with this trough to the west. So this is helping to spin this up towards the Appalachians. And as you can see as we go in time, this is Friday, early afternoon. It's stepping on the gas here. It's accelerating up the spine of the Appalachians. That's the only thing that's going to keep this thing from becoming a horrific flood event. Thankfully, we're going to keep totals mainly at 4 inches or below. I know that sounds like a lot of rain, but it could be a whole lot worse. Trust me on this one. Now, let's take a look at our HWRF model here, our hurricane model. Look at this. This is 977 millibars. This is by 4 p.m. Wednesday. So just as it's skipping through the northern part of the Bahamas here, take a look at this. Let's see what this hurricane model does. It's a pretty good hurricane model. It's still bouncing around here, but it's right on target with guidance here. Look at this. Moving it inland, 974 millibars. This is by 1 a.m. So the trend has been to slow this down just slightly initially and bring it in overnight Wednesday night. Look at that. That is a pretty good that's a pretty large, wide radius of inner core structure there. And let's take a look as this continues to buzzsaw inland here. Look at that, 974, 977. It doesn't weaken too much. This remains, this is taking it a bit further west. That is interesting. We'll have to continue to watch these trends. Will it trend towards the Panhandle before turning northeastward? If it does, that might shift our cone uncertainty a little bit further to the west here, up into parts of the northeast. So that's something we're going to have to keep an eye on here. But take a look at that. Yeah, that becomes... Thankfully, it's really fast moving, though. Otherwise, we'd have a severe flooding threat. But that is concerning. Look at this up into parts of the northeast. This is Saturday at 4 a.m. Look at that. That is a big old mess. And the rainfall rates going on in the Susquehanna Valley here could be pretty torrential, upwards of an inch or two an hour. So this is something we're going to have to keep our eyes on here as we go in time, especially towards the weekend. But look how fast it's moving. So yeah, you probably will end up max 3 to 4 inches of rain, which thankfully a lot of the rivers this time of year have a lot of spare capacity. Why not zoom in into the northeast here? This will give us a real good idea. Look at these wind barbs. They are going nuts. Over 50, 60 knots here in the upper levels of the atmosphere. But look at this. Euro is wanting to take this literally right up the spine of the Appalachians here. So this would bring some dry slot into parts of the Susquehanna Valley initially, late Friday night, early Saturday morning before the heaviest rain moves in. Coastal areas, yeah, you're going to see less rainfall, but your wind is going to be howling here. So you're still going to have beach erosion. This is a majorly large circulation, so you definitely want to... This is going to prepare for a high impact event here. This is a massive, look at this, massive system. I'll be showing you the wind field on this system as well. It's going to be insane. And then you look how quickly the precipitation shuts off. This is early, just before sunrise here. Look at this. Cutting off here into western New York, western Pennsylvania. And we continue to progress this thing to the northeast. It's really stepping on the gas here as all the precipitation shut off by the afternoon hours into early evening. Look at that. It's just a fading memory with some gusty winds to be had. All right, so let's take a look at the HRRR model here. This is going to give us a good idea, in the near to medium term here of this Tropical Storm Nicole becoming a hurricane. You can see this is by Wednesday at 8 a.m. Take a look at this. You can see the eye wall very visibly here showing up very nicely here on the HRRR model. And look at this. As we go throughout the day, yeah, this goes right through Marsh Harbor. You can really see it really well here on the HRRR. Perfect eye. Yeah, so this thing will be going through a strengthening phase. Would not be surprised, you know, it takes it up towards 75 mile per hour winds, but would not be surprised if we get max sustained winds up to 90 miles per hour with gusts over 100. Would not be surprised at all. Take a look at this as we go in time. HRRR really doing a really good job here. Look at this. This is by Wednesday at 7 p.m. There's that first outer band moving ashore. Strong winds, heavy rain, coastal, you know, flooding a likely possibility here. And look at this. The eye bearing right down on West Palm Beach here on the HRRR. It's a little bit further to the south than the GFS was, with bringing the landfall in. And then there you can see it just ever so slightly here to the north, taking the landfall just to the north of West Palm Beach here, and some of the worst weather up here towards Port St. Lucie here. So very interesting. We have a tremendous amount of copious moisture on the northeast side, but you can see there's a lot of dry air here on the south side. So if you're in Miami, you might only see a few heavier gully washers, and maybe that's about it. Let's take a look as we go in time here. HRRR bringing this inland a little bit further to the southwest than guidance, but look at this. It's still north of the horribly devastated areas of Hurricane Ian, Port Charlotte, Northport there, Fort Myers. You can see the core of the system remaining well north of these areas here. Here's the core, essentially, here. And let's see how far west the HRRR model takes it. Yeah, towards the Tampa area here. HRRR still bringing it a little bit west, maybe reaching the Gulf of Mexico. That's interesting. But we're getting to the real envelope, the end of the HRRR here, and it becomes a little bit more murky and muddled here. Let's take a look at the NAM 3 kilometer. All right, so good old rainfall totals here. This is a big deal. And by big deal, I mean high impact. Look at this. Look at the red area. This encompasses more than like 13 states here. And we may have some... The good thing is this is going to be fast moving. The bad news is in just a short period of time, it is going to drop a lot of rain. So look at this area, 2.5, 3.5, close to 4 inches. Now see these yellow areas in parts of central South Florida, parts of western part of Georgia into eastern Alabama, up the spine of the Appalachians here. And look at this, getting up into New York and Pennsylvania, north central Pennsylvania. This is 4, 5, 6 inches of rain. We're going to zoom in on this. This is troubling here on the latest GFS. Actually, let's take a look at this regionally first. It's going to give us a better idea of what's going on. So let's put this into motion. Yeah, so this is through Friday. You can see it is a fast mover. That is our saving grace. And, you know, Florida is used to this sort of thing, you know, 4, 5, 6 inches locally higher. But look at this. Yeah, you're going to drop a large amount of rain in a large area. It's not tremendous, it's not extreme, but it's a large area. So that's going to really bring the tributaries up a bit. You know, we will have some problems with flooding, especially on the smaller streams and creeks. There is less rain trending here in the Eastern Carolinas simply because, you know, it'll be focusing most of its energy westward towards the Appalachians. And let's actually go up the spine of the Appalachians here. So we'll get into the Mid-Atlantic here. And as we continue, look at this. Yeah, this is getting kind of crazy up in here in parts of the eastern Ohio Valley. And then you get into north central Pennsylvania to New York. These trends are a little bit troubling. The rivers can handle a lot this time of year, but the smaller streams and creeks will have a little bit of a hard time with this. You can see this is upwards of 4 or 5 inches here into parts of north central Pennsylvania, extending up into parts of upstate New York. And that continues on northeastward. And let's actually head up into the northeast here. We'll take a look at the Northeast totals and New England as well. There it is. Yeah, so it's actually less towards the coast here, trending. And look at this. Binghamton, Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, up to Burlington, Caribou, Maine. Yeah, we could be looking at quite a bit. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania here. Look at this, 3.5 inches of rain. Binghamton, west of Binghamton, Elmira, 4.5. That's a lot of rain in a short period of time. We'll definitely have to keep an eye on this. I wanted to show you the euro here. It is trending a little bit farther to the west here. Look at this. It's actually west of the I-81 corridor for the most part here. So this would bring the heaviest rain into parts of western New York, central southern tier of New York, western Pennsylvania, extreme north central Pennsylvania here, down into the spine of the Appalachians, and it would taper off totals an inch or less here further east with some isolated areas towards an inch and a half. So we definitely have to watch out for that possibility. Going down the spine of the Appalachians, is there really much change? Well, the Euro is a little bit farther to the west. This is that westerly trend we have to keep an eye on. Take a look at the southern Appalachians here. Western North Carolina, 4, 5, 6 inches. Definitely have to keep an eye on this trend. And as we head towards the south here, take a look at the southeast. We'll see what the Euro shows. There we go. So look at this. Yeah. Euro keeps the heaviest rain. If some of these rain totals, 4, 6, 7 inches can get on shore, but really moving it up like this. So definitely the trend has been to take the heaviest excess of precipitation away from the coastal areas and move it further inland. All right, so look at the upper air pattern here. This is going to give us an idea of what's going on with Nicole here. Yeah, what's happening here is the high pressure is hanging on longer. You can see this. This is Thursday morning. So we're still got this big old high here. Look at the trough is kind of slower now. So this is going to allow Nicole to potentially, you can see here, swing more towards the northwest and make a second landfall on the Panhandle here, which is rather interesting. Showing up here on the GFS nicely on the upper air pattern. And look at that. High pressure retreating. Let's go back just a frame. There we go. So you can see as the high is retreating to the northeast here, this is Friday, you got this trough to the west, and it's allowing the storm to go a little bit further to the west towards the Appalachians. It might allow this to ride up the west or central spine of the Appalachians before moving up to the northeast and becoming absorbed. You can see now the trough's moving in behind it. So that might be another saving grace, is we're not going to have that tremendous energy combined forces there. So it'll be a lot of tropical moisture becoming extra tropical in nature. All right, let's take a look at the wind field with this system. This is kind of exciting and scary at the same time. Look at this. This is Thursday. Yeah, there's the eye. So let's just back this up a few frames. There it is. So we have the eye here. These are in knots. So we're getting up hurricane force, 50, 60, 70 knots here. Easily getting 80, 90 mile per hour winds. Now look at the wind speeds. We're already getting gusts in the 50s up here. Even all the way up to Jacksonville in the low 40s. Miami, you're in the mid 40s here for gusts. And look at even on the west coast here, you're still getting 40, 45, 50 mile per hour gusts. Now look at as we head inland here, this is throughout the night, early morning hours of Thursday. Look at that core of very strong winds that moves towards just east of Tampa here. The wind field is going to be unraveling here. And look at this. We get a 50 to 60 knot wind in a large area. And look at this propagating and proliferating to the north. Atlanta, you're going to start to see gusts well out ahead of this system. And look at this. Yeah, we could have, there's that second potential landfall here south of Tallahassee as we move north. And we could have some gusts over 60, 70 mile per hour, maybe 80 miles per hour. And then as we head to the northeast, you see on the east side of this system, the northwest side is going to be heavy rain. But look at, as I told you, coastal areas. Let's head up into the northeast. This is where things get a bit on the interesting side. So as this system moves, let's take us to later Friday. Look how the gusts start to gust up here, blasting to the north here. Look how calm it is in the area of heaviest rain here. But just east of that, this is where Binghamton, 32 miles per hour. Friday evening, 36 down towards Harrisburg, 42 miles per hour in New York City. We're going to really start to ramp up. Look at this, 50 knots, 60 knots, Long Island. You're going to have wind advisories and high wind warnings in effect. No doubt here. Look at this. This is early Saturday morning. Even after we get rid of the rain, Catskills, Poconos, Hudson Valley, you're getting wind gusts in the 50 mile per hour range here, because these are in the 40s for knots. We even have 50 knots here along the coast, 60 knots here in eastern Long Island. That's going to translate to wind gusts over 70 miles per hour here. Cape Cod, eastern Maine here. This is some pretty intense wind. And look at that. We get another surge of it coming up early Saturday afternoon. Look at that. Let me just back that up a few frames. You're going to have some very intense wind here in eastern Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Look at this. This is in the 40s and 50s here for knots. This is going to push you up over those 60, 65, maybe some isolated areas pushing in excess of 70 miles per hour here. You can see as this system pulls to the northeast. But look how quickly this fades. This is early Sunday morning. It's a fading memory. All right, here we go. Jim, off the shores of Groton. I think I showed this photo before, but I didn't show the second photo along with it. It ended up being a different photo. So take a look at this. Nice captures here in the morning hours. And let's go towards the right direction here. Look at that. There's the photo I wanted to show you that didn't come up last time. Look at that. That's a beautiful shot there. Look at those nice oranges and pinks in the background there with the blue foreground here. Very nice captures there, Jim. And here we go. Jim, November 5th, 73 for a high, Groton, Connecticut here. Look at that. Wow. Look at that capture there. That looks three-dimensional in a photograph. That's beautiful. Look at the sun rays showing through those clouds, and that is a sight to behold. Looks very peaceful and nice as well. Nice capture there, Jim. At 73 degrees this time of the year, yeah, we'll buy it. It could be a lot worse. And here we go, John from, Hicksville, New York. 87 degrees. Wow. Back this past Monday, November 7th, on New York Junction 107 here. Yeah, this was, we really had some warm air in place here, and that is slowly kicking off to the east. So we're have a harsh case of reality here. We're actually average now, averaging highs in the 50s now and lower 60s, but that's really going to be a fading memory come later on this weekend. And, things are pretty clear over here in the Eastern Pacific. There is not much to speak of, and that is to say something there. That's why things are so active in the Atlantic. But let's go to the Western Pacific, shall we? Things get really, really interesting. We have been watching a potential tropical wave by the middle of November here. Now, we have another tropical wave that's a little bit stronger than we originally thought. This is by, Wednesday. This Wednesday at 7 p.m., approaching parts of the Philippines here. Now, it doesn't look like this is going to develop in anything. You'll have some gusty winds, some showers moving through. Thankfully, look at it. It remains pretty progressive here, and you don't really see much of any development out of it here, even towards Vietnam. Over here into parts of the Indian Ocean, you have a couple areas to watch here as we go in time, but look at this. Let's fast forward it here to that time period in mid-November that I'm really concerned about here. Here's that tropical wave. It looks a little bit further to the south than it was the other day. Here it is. GFS picking it up here as it's approaching just from the east here, the Philippines. This is by Wednesday, November 16th. Now let's see what it does with it here. Is not developing it quite as strong and quickly, but here it is. It is here, Sunday, November 20th. It's a little bit further to the south. Last couple model runs had it further to the north into the Philippines. This is a bit further to the south. So if you're in the central part of the Philippines, anywhere in the Philippines, I would advise you to stay, because look at this. This becomes a typhoon still here on the GFS by Sunday, the 20th of November here, and moves it in landfall right in the central part of the Philippines, just moving just south of Manila. And look at this, continuing westward. It may become a Vietnam or a South China problem as we go in time here, kind of weakening it. And look at this. Yeah, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but tropical season is far from over in the Western Pacific here. Look at this big old donut shaped out here. In fact, if we go over here, yeah, that's an eye. So let's see where the model takes us. This is pretty far out. This is 354 hours. Yeah, it's taking it due west towards the northern Philippines. And I do want to advise you in the Philippines, you can definitely have some pretty nasty typhoons this time of year. Here it is, Thursday, November 24th. We still have plenty of time to watch this, but please stay tuned. I'll have more updates as we go further into November here. Extended outlook from hometown viewers, Binghamton, Scranton's Upper Susquehanna River Valley. Look at this, Wednesday through Sunday. Yeah, cold start Wednesday, 15, freezing fog. Watch out for that. But look at this. The big story is Veterans Day, Friday into Saturday. That's what's left of Nicole. Definitely some strong winds. Wind advisories will definitely be in effect. 40, 50 mile per hour plus gusts. 1 to 3 inches of rain. We'll be on the east side of the storm initially, so we should see some showers and thunderstorms. Some could contain gusty winds, small hail, so watch out for that. I think flooding on the large tributaries will remain capped, but the smaller tributaries, please watch out. And look at that, by Sunday, blasting wintry cold. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of Weather Eastern and Hurricane Eastern and Northeastern as well. Guess what? Winter weather outlook, it's in the description in the link down below. Also the link in this video. You're probably seeing it on the screen now. Click it. Go to my winter weather outlook. Watch it. You'll love it. And Facebook at MeteoMark. Also Weather Northeastern. Also Hurricane Northeastern. At Twitter at Weather Eastern. MeteoMark.com, WeatherNortheastern.com.